When you have a big life change, you have a lot of resistance from others who want to, quote unquote, protect you. Said, look, I don't want to look back 40 years from now, telling myself, why didn't you at least give it a try?
Welcome back to a new episode of the Second Act Success podcast. I'm your host, Shannon Russell, a business coach for women and author of Start Your Second Act. Here's a story about getting out from behind that desk at a 9-to-5 job to performing as a professional actress and then building your own performing arts school. Today, I'm chatting with Sabine Kvenberg. She pursued her passion and became a professional actress in Germany until one day she decided to take her dream to the United States, where she and her husband opened their own performing arts school. Years later, Sabine is still using her performing chops to help others through her podcast, her books, and her program that helps people get their voices out and heard so that they can perform their best on whatever stage they choose. This is my friend Sabine and her Second Act Success story. Sabine, welcome to Second Act Success. I've been so looking forward to this conversation.
Same here, Shannon. I'm so happy to be here.
I had a wonderful conversation on your show and realized that we both have a lot in common when it comes to the entertainment industry and performing and all of the things in the arts. So I really want to dive into your career from way back when in Germany. So take us back. Where did your career begin?
Talking about the second act, right? So poignant because I didn't start out in the entertainment industry. What you do when you're young, you have really no idea. So I listened to the well-meant advice of my dad, who said, Sabine, find a job with benefits and a good salary so you can pay your bills and have something left over to pursue your hobbies. And by that, he meant my acting, singing, right? And I thought, "Well, it's a good idea." And so I went the business route in the insurance field. After I was done with my 2.5-year education, I ended up working for a company as a claim adjuster. So it might be a dream job for someone else, but it certainly wasn't mine. And one day, I still remember it like it was yesterday. I found myself feeling unhappy, staring out of the window and thinking, oh my gosh, you cannot do this for the next 40 years. What's mine to do, right? Ask and ye shall receive. That same week, I had a chance meeting with my former drama and music teacher, Mr. Herbst. I went down the street, out of the subway, just doing my day-to-day thing. And there he was, Mr. Herbst. He greeted me with a smile on his face, and it was a warm summer day. We had a chit chat, and then he asked me if I was still active with my acting group, with my singing group, and I answered no. And then he said one thing, Shannon, that changed my life. And for your listeners, if you think it was something enormous, it was not. He said, what a shame, Sabine. You are so talented. I am. That woke me up literally because this is what I love to do. I am a performer. And I thought, he is right. Then I did the next best thing, taking action. Even though I had no idea how to start a career in the entertainment industry, my family had nothing to do with that, but I was passionate about. So I went home, opened up the yellow pages, and yes, it dates me a little bit. Back in the days, there was no such thing as Google, right? So we had to do it the hard way. So I looked for acting school. I called, I scheduled an audition. I had no idea how to audition. And that's another story. It was hilarious in and of itself. But at the end, I was accepted. And that's when I switched. Not in that moment. I still kept my job because I had to pay for the school for 3 years. So I did both. I worked and did the education after I was done with my work from 3 to 9 and then on the weekends.
That's the way to do it. To realize, okay, I want this so much that I need to have my 9-to-5 to be able to pay for being able to pursue your passion. Oh,
Yes.
that chance meeting. Isn't it interesting how it can be one thing someone says, good or bad, that just changes the course of your day, or in your instance, the course of your life?
Yes, it really was. And probably some who are listening to this can relate to the fact that when you have a big life change, that you have a lot of resistance from others who want to, quote unquote, protect you. In this case, it was for me, they said, Sabine, don't do it. You have this good job. And this acting field, the scandals, and you will never make money. It's very hard to stand your ground and said, I want to do it. But here's one thing that I said to them. Said, look, I don't want to look back 40 years from now and telling myself, why didn't you at least give it a try? I'm going to get it started. And if it doesn't work out, fine. So I did a little compromise there. So I started out with a half education, it's kind of a part-time getting in there. But here's the thing. After 2 weeks, I knew that this is what I wanted to do.
Mm.
And so I got into the full education. And after I was done, I got started as an actress with a company. And then I started for 2 years working as a stage actress. After 2 years, I got offered a role on a TV series. And we only filmed for 6 weeks over the summer. But during that time, I made more money than the entire year working as a claim adjuster.
Wow.
See, when you do something that you love and you put in the work and you learn the skills, the money will follow.
So you had quit your job at that point.
Yes. The last half a year, I actually quit my job. I started a part-time job because I wanted to really fully concentrate on my acting career because we started to audition and so forth.
Mhm.
But after I was done, then I started auditioning, got my first job, and then for the next 10 years, this is what I did.
What was it like being on a television show in Germany and being a professional actress? Was it everything you could have dreamed it would be?
It was. I truly enjoyed it. There is this excitement. And for example, one role was a crime show, right? And
Yeah.
I was one of the investigators, and I was driving. I had a partner, and I was driving the car. And I remember we filmed in Hamburg, Germany, like at midnight, because of course they have to have all the permissions to close several streets. And I remember I had to chase a taxi, and I was driving. There was no dump or anything like that. And I mean, it was okay. And I didn't roll over. It was just a fast drive. And then I had to stop because there were like cars coming from all directions, front and side, and to stop me. So I was sitting, right? And then we did the chasing and then the cameras. So it was very fun.
That's just such a once in a lifetime or once in a career experience. The rest of us don't get a chance to drive a car chasing a taxi in the middle of the night. Those are the experiences that you got to have that you will always remember. And again, it goes back to just not having those regrets at the end of the day for not trying. And you did do both. I like that you compromised, you saved up your money, you were doing it on the side until you realized this is my passion.
Mhm. You have to be smart.
Mm.
And I think I had that kind of street smart throughout my career, really, that I followed. And I call it intuition. I've always followed my intuition because I know that this is your higher self,
Mm.
your soul talking to you. And when you have that, sometimes you may think it was that and it can get you in the wrong direction, but it's not your soul speaking. That was your ego speaking. Sometimes goes back to your conditioning that you had as how you grew up as you in your childhood, right? And that's okay too. You will always be directed back to your path, that the path that you're supposed to be on. And we
Mhm.
all take detours. I'm sure you had some of those as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. So let's talk now. You worked as a professional actress for 10 years in Germany. And then let's talk about your next really exciting step that happened when you got to the United States, correct?
I got married. I married my best friend. We actually met during a European tour of Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh,
He was one of the dancers who came from the United States. And after we got married, we shifted and I began working as a director. A great opportunity that we had, though we both could work together, sometimes apart, but we traveled the world to different vacation spots to put on shows. It was great. I mean, we got paid to be in paradise somewhere. And sometimes I had to pinch myself. I remember the first engagement that we had that was in Africa, in Senegal.
ooh.
And I was sitting at the pool and I was looking around and said, wow, I'm getting paid to be in a beautiful place where people pay money to go to,
Yeah.
and I do what I love and
Uh,
see the world. So we've done that for 2 years, putting on different shows, performing. And then another event happened in my life. And that was one of those moments where it hits you very hard in your heart. And that was the day when my dad hit the bell. And that was 6 a.m. in the morning. And he never comes alone, let alone at 6 a.m. in the morning.
mm,
That's when I got the message that my mother passed away
mm,
that night. And for me, I was very close with my mother, and it was just like a shock.
mhm.
And so I had to go through that. The next thing was another devastating news that I got from my gynecologist that I had a growth and it needed to be removed immediately. I mean, so many things came together that really brought my life to a halt
Yeah.
and reevaluation. What's next? My husband and I, we were talking about perhaps starting a school. Where do we do this? In Germany or in the United States? So that event that I had for me was like almost an escape.
Mm,
I said, okay, I'm ready to go now.
yeah.
Nothing holds me. I mean, I still have family there, don't get me wrong, but it was just one of those moments that I thought, okay, I go.
Mm,
And that's when I bought a one-way ticket to the United States. And that was a very memorable and also life-changing moment when you make a decision to not just move to another country, but another continent for that
yeah.
matter, right? Yeah, that's what we did in 1994 with 4 suitcases and a dream to start our own business, a performing arts school. That was another second act of mine. So different. We wanted to pass on the love that we had for the performing arts to a new generation. I had no idea how to start a business. You learn along the way and you make silly mistakes, starting with, okay, how do we name it? So we had then Studio of the Performing Arts, long name, right? But then we were in a strip mall where we started our business and we had to put up a sign, but we only had so many letters that we could use. So I said, what do we do? Okay, so we ended up calling it Studio PA. What is that name? Are you a photography studio? PA is a Pennsylvania? What is it? I could have put on dance or something, right?
Yeah.
But in retrospect, it was just hilarious. You learn along the way, and I learned my lesson. But we started, and I never looked back. It was a beautiful time.
I think it's so incredible. And I just get so excited hearing your story because you're taking your passion of both you and your husband and wanting to build a business around it. But really, at that time, you were thinking about the arts aspect and probably what you were going to teach and what the curriculum would be and the shows you could put on. And there was the business side of it was probably your second thought in a sense, right? You just wanted to get out there and start working with these kids.
Yes, absolutely. The first shows we put on, it was, we were crazy. We were young.
Yeah.
I mean, it was so much work. I remember the second show was called Broadway. And you have a limited budget when you do this. This were quote unquote recitals, but we never called it recitals. We called it shows because that's what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
But we had a lot of volunteers. So we had those styrofoam sheets and we literally poked in little holes to put in Christmas lights in it to recreate like Broadway, all the lights.
Oh.
It was a project for a really passionate project. The stage looked great, and we had all the different Broadway shows, and parents came up to us and they said, "Oh my gosh, for the first time, I was actually entertained." And that's what we wanted to do. To tell you the truth, we were the trailblazers in our area, in our city where we started that. There was a couple of ballet schools. That was it, right? But we were the trailblazers, and that led to a theater coming in, even asking us if we wanted to be part of it. And I mean, so many opportunities that came from that. And then, of course, we busted out of the seams very quickly. And that's when we built our own building. And again, street smart. I knew I don't want to pay rent for the rest of my life. I wanted to pay rent to myself.
Yeah.
With that intention, we were looking. And again, we got several offers from people who said, "We want to partner with you." One was the theater, the dinner theater, but we had to give up our name and just be part of that. And we didn't want to do that. Then there was another one who wanted to give us money to start with the building, but he wanted to have 51% of our company. And I said, no. Exactly, right? So we stood our ground. And then eventually we got into an area that was just the perfect location. And little did I know that one of the owners of the company was one of the fathers of our students. I didn't know that.
What?
And I just got to know that because we ran into trouble with the building process, and eh, and I shared it with another dad. So, oh, we have to talk to Edmund. You know, he's with the silver company. So, oh, he is. So I called him in the evening. He said, "Oh yeah, no problem. Meet me the next day." Then we also became agents. We had an agency. We helped aspiring performers getting their start. So we did local talent searches. We prepared them and got them in front of agents and casting directors so they can get started. And we are from this business, so we know what it takes, which was then another addition to our school. That was the talent part. But that was the beginning to what I'm doing now. That led me to writing my first book. Talking about all the different changes that you have in your life.
You were evolving with your business and with yourself.
Yes, yes. One of the things that I noticed, Shannon, was why do some of the talents succeed and others not? Because they're equally talented. And that's when I realized talent is only 20%. 80% is your mindset, how you set your goals, the path that you go, your attitude, and so much more. And that's when I started writing a workbook to give to my students, which then led to I published a book, Secrets on How to Succeed in Showbiz, maybe 20 years ago or something like that.
Wow.
It's now outdated because everything is now more digital, so many things. Main things still stay the same.
I bet.
The mindset, the work, your attitude. But some of the sources I gave has evolved at
Makes
that
sense.
stage. But that's how I got started, becoming an author and working with other audiences later on to helping them become better communicators and become confident in their ability to stand up and speak.
You had your school for 27 years. Is that right?
Yes.
So were
Yes.
you starting this next evolution while you still had the school, or was it something that you decided to pursue once you closed the school or left?
Good question.
Yeah.
Good question. Good question. So it was a transition, like with everything. We moved to Florida for a couple of years because we just wanted to travel. And I had my system set up at the school that I could do the work that I needed to do from afar, which I did. I wrote my first book and started speaking in front of other audiences. Then we moved back to Virginia because something happened with the business. Some teachers decided to leave and take a lot of our students.
Oh,
You have that's part of
that
business.
happens.
So
Yeah.
we had to build it back up again, which was fine. But that was kind of a transition. I continued, I wrote my second book, Unlock Your Full Potential, that I could then give to audiences that had nothing to do with the entertainment industry, but the same principles applied.
Yeah.
So this is when I started. But here it's the interesting fact. As you mentioned earlier, we all evolve, right? And I found myself at the stage in my life where I felt in my gut that intuition, okay, Sabine, you've done this now. Let other people continue. And you are meant for something different now.
Mm,
You are meant to teach on a different level.
right.
I don't want to say better, higher, whatever, a different level, right? And guess what came in? Fear. Whoa, that's a different animal, different level. I was very comfortable with the entertainment industry. I was very comfortable teaching that. I could teach this in my sleep. I was very comfortable producing, putting on shows, all of this stuff, and running that business. But it didn't satisfy my soul any longer.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, the building was ours. So that means I still had to pay the mortgage if we operate in the business or not.
Right.
So that fear of what happened if everybody leaves or I'm closing the door and still we cannot sell the building. I mean, all these things, what if comes to your mind. So I kind of did it in secret. Maybe I find somebody who will take over the business and then COVID hit. I was already living at that point in Florida again. My husband got that opportunity, and so we moved there. We didn't have our roots in Virginia any longer. And I went back and forth a couple times, 4 times a year to do the shows and some other things.
Yeah.
But that gets also tiring. And then COVID hit. And I mean, selling the business at that time was not viable anymore because all of a sudden we had to close. We were not allowed to conduct business any longer. Talking about reinventing yourself, reinventing your business, which I had to do.
Yeah.
So I had to shift everything online. Now, did we lose business? Of course we did. But I kept so much that was able to pay my teachers because that's another responsibility that you have.
Of course.
Paying your teachers, paying the mortgage and everything else. So I was able to manage. And I did this for a year or two. And I knew at that point, wasn't willing to build up the studio again. Because you see, a few years prior already said, this is it. Sabine, you have to go and do the next thing that the universe is calling you to do. And so I told my husband, and that was 5 years ago, I am done. And I put it out to our families. I said, I am retiring.
Yeah.
We've done it for now 27 years. And then I'm looking for someone who wants to take it over. And I'm here for the transition, whatever. Now, here's the interesting fact. When you decide, when you make a decision, then do it. The universe will show you. Will there be scary times? Of course there will. But trust trust in the fact, keep on doing the right things, even if you don't know it all yet. So people came forward and I vetted a couple sources. It was really the last day. And I remember that very clearly. There was a van pulling up. And that was a person who had a school, had to close, didn't have a location anymore. I was looking for a location. But now let's go back to my decision that I made 20 years prior to buy the building. That was my asset. Even though I lost the business asset through COVID and whatnot, but the building was my asset. And boom, now she was buying some of the assets, but she was leasing. And here you have it.
That's great. So you still own the building and she pays for the mortgage, basically.
She did this for 3 years. And after 3 years, she had the option to buy or not. So she decided not for whatever reason, right?
Mm.
So that was then my out to put it on the market. That's what I did. And last year, we sold the building. And now that part is totally check marked off.
Yes.
And now I'm doing what I'm doing the last 3 years, really. And that's my current act.
I've lost count of how many, but it's incredible. It really is. I love too that you said check the box because I'm a big proponent of you didn't close it, you checked it, you celebrated that this is what I did for this long, this is what I built, this is what I grew, and now it's on to the next chapter. How exciting. You must have just felt that relief. You could exhale and really dive in to what you've been working for on the side. And so tell us what you're doing now. What is your business now? Because you're continuing to speak
Yes.
and be out there, and I want to hear all about it.
Oh yeah, it's very exciting. And again, like with everything, it's an evolution. So over the past 3 years, I started a podcast called Become Empowered, where you were my guest, and
Yes, I love it.
invite all the listeners definitely listen to that one as well. So I'm
Yes.
sure you can share it in the show notes.
I will.
And that led to me writing my third book, where I invited a couple ladies to share their story because I'm a storyteller. As a performer, as a director, that's what I've done. So I helped them share their story, and that became an international bestseller last year. And what I'm doing now is everything that I have been working on my whole life. Of course, the entertainment industry is a big part of it, but also how I evolved as coach, teaching, communication, confidence. Now I am a keynote speaker and I'm talking about the invisible stages. It's trademarked. So for me is I'm going to conferences or companies who invite me to talk to their team or their leadership or whatnot. And I'll do a presentation or a keynote and at their events. I'm talking about the invisible stages. And that is the work we must do behind the curtain first so we can step into the spotlight. Everything has to do with being on stage, being a director, and pulling from this experience. And of course, a lot of fun, interesting stories. But what I'm sharing with my audience now is my framework and my method that I teach so you can own your stage, whatever it is.
And who better to teach that than you? Because you've been there. I had this thought of like when you were at that claims adjustment job, right? When you were working in insurance, you had this dream of performing and you were working on it on the side. It was almost like you were preparing, you had an invisible stage. You were trying to get yourself ready to be out there front and center. And so it really has come full circle to what you're teaching others now.
It has.
Yeah.
And even that part was giving me the business basis.
Right.
You see?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
And how has it
Yeah.
been? How do you feel in this stage? Do you really feel fulfilled because you've been able to check all the boxes, do all of the things, and now you're just helping a whole new audience with your talents and your skills?
I do feel fulfilled. And even more, Shannon, earlier this year, I was given an opportunity to sign with book publisher. And I'm right now, as we speak, working on my fourth book with the title Gumption. That is where I share my journey, the ups and downs, and all the things that I've learned. And throughout the book, I also give practical advice that the readers can take and implement into their own life. Talking about fulfillment, for me, that is a great way that I can share the four topics that I'm most passionate about: health, wealth, legacy, and leisure. Because those are the four elements we all want to experience.
Yeah.
And when you build your life the right way, you can have a healthy lifestyle. You can create wealth.
Yeah.
You can leave a legacy, and it looks different for everyone. A legacy can be a painting, a legacy can be a book, a legacy can be something that you leave behind for your family or for the world. It doesn't matter. And then leisure is enjoy the journey, have fun along the way. Because if you don't have fun, it's not worth doing anything. This is where I am currently. I'm doing my keynote speaking, and I also started a new membership called
Oh,
Vibrant Voices Network. And this is my passion project where I gather a community of like-minded people who feel, and I'm sure you can relate to it at moments, as an entrepreneur when you work alone. And I'm speaking about the last 3, 4 years in my business. I was always with people the entire time when at my studio. When I started working on my online and coaching business, sometimes you are by yourself for the whole day, sitting behind a computer, and you feel alone. You don't get any feedback. You don't get any validation. And so I thought, okay, what can I do to help other women who's starting that and feeling this way? And that was my reason to build this network. So where we have support, and of course, in that community, I teach them all what I've learned along the way, what you just heard, right? So I can bring a lot of value to it. So that is my latest passion project, and this is what I'm doing now that fulfills me.
fantastic. I'm going to link to everything in the show notes so listeners can get in touch and join in on all that you're offering. But as we wrap up, I'd love to know your advice, having gone through it, to someone who's thinking about starting that second act and starting over and maybe taking their skills and talents with them into this next act. What would you tell them? What advice would you give?
Number one, listen to your intuition and your heart first. If you feel this is right, if you get butterflies in your belly when you think about it, then go for it. Then the next step is involve your head with it as well. As you know, what I shared before, I still kept my 9 to 5 job to pay for that. So don't make irrational decisions. The third one is don't worry about the how yet. The how will show up when you make a decision to do it. And then the fourth piece of advice is find someone who can assist you along the way. I know Shannon is great with helping others. If it's not Shannon, if it's not me, there's somebody out there, yeah, right, that can help you along the way. And that will speed up the process. But basically, this is my piece of advice for you. Just go for it.
Go for it. That's such excellent advice. I love it. And you've lived it, you know. And oh, we could just talk for hours about the industry and all that you've done and what you're doing now. And I just want to thank you for your time, Sabine. It's been so wonderful to chat with you and have you share your second act success story here on the podcast. To just wrap it up, where can everyone find you? What's the best place?
If you Google my name, I'm the only one that shows up. It's sabinekevenberg.com. And if you put /resources, You will get a lot of resources. I have free resources. Some, if you want to go deeper, if you want to talk with me, all of this is there. But SabineKVNBERG.com.
Perfect. I'll link to everything in the show notes as well. And thank you, my friend. Thank you for being here and sharing all of this wonderful wisdom with our listeners. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Shannon. It was my pleasure.
Thank you for joining us. I hope you found some gems of inspiration and some takeaways to help you on your path to second act success. To view show notes from this episode, visit secondactsuccess.co. Before you go, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss a single episode. Reviews only take a few moments, and they really do mean so much. Thank you again for listening. I'm Shannon Russell, and this is Second Act Success.